Strawn, but it sneaks through.
It went to nobody in a red uniform. It hit the post, but they did turn to pick up the crumbs. So perhaps a bit of luck falling the way of South Australia. They are the defending champions. They're in chase position. They're down by 5 against the more fancied Victoria. Rossoukas steps across, clears some space for the shot. Very steady, balanced shooter. Has the mouth guard in.
Penalties at the moment, 22 to Victoria, 17 to South Australia. Ball's been turned over by South Australia more often, 10 there and 3 to Victoria.
Contact from Skinner.
Skinner allowing the ball to go over the sideline so she can get back into position.
Vantage contact.
Good lunge from Manton on the baseline. And that one drops. It's 5. So South Australia have come out determined to run goal for goal. They'd like to pick up a few on the way. Strawn handles it nicely on the transverse line, swings it cross court. The drive comes from Rossoukas.
And that's so uncharacteristic too. On that occasion, Godden taking the ball on the transverse and Liebelt not even offering any defence on the Victorian defender, moving it up forward in attack.
Perhaps it's South Australia's game plan, just to sit through the first half and then whammo, put the foot down in the second. We shall see. It's close enough now. Victoria in possession. Down court through Skinner. Another pass, I've got to say, that under normal circumstances be plucked out of the air by a South Australian defender, that cross-court parallel ball. But they're sitting back, playing a tighter game on the Victorian forwards.
And yesterday, once again, against New South Wales, they were moving off the ball quite quickly and they were perhaps backing their judgment. Their confidence was riding high. It's a different type of plan here today against Victoria, whether John has sat down, John Belton, the South Australian coach, and gone through perhaps what Rossoukas and Strawn do and perhaps implemented the fact that the defenders need to sit tight on them and not allow them to create too much space.
Strawn puts it into the space for Lynch. Rossoukas drops away so comfortably behind Kim Smith, who was unaware of the space she'd allowed. And that was a little too easy for Victoria, and that takes it to 8. So Victoria, as they did in the first quarter, have found a couple of minutes where they quickly have exploited the scoreline. Hodge. Contact call. Pushing off goes against Manton. Use of the elbow called by Stacey Campton.
Good drive there by Skinner onto the ball. Victoria effective at the moment in finding forward line. Defence is really moving well into attack.
Victoria playing a skillful game. Very few errors against them. That one drops off the ring at the back, and a strong take from South Australia. Quick ball, that's a good outlet. Clears some space to Clare. Contact call goes against Godden, who raises eyes to the heavens, and that's not going to help. Manton to the post. Good work over the ball from Rebecca Strawn. Forces the miss, and they back it up with the rebound. Victoria create the turnover. That's the one we've been waiting for. Hodge, it comes through Hodge. Kind of fancied it might have come through Westbrook or Byrne, but that'll do, and that gets it back. 23, Victoria leads South Australia 16, halfway through the second quarter. Number 2 versus number 4 as they came in at the end of the rounds. Victoria, as was expected, finding their way into the final, courtesy of a win over Queensland. South Australia, courtesy of the upset over number 1 ranked New South Wales. And just to take you through some results from earlier today in the 21 and under division, Tasmania have finished in 7th place. They didn't need to play today. Northern Territory haven't entered in this division. Western Australia defeated the ACT to finish in 5th. And New South Wales defeated Queensland to secure 3rd place. And 1 and 2, we'll tell you at the end of this one.
Dropping short there for Manton. Liebelt takes the rebound well. Can't sink it at the moment, the South Australian shooters. 7 from 8 is Katie Liebert, and 10 from 13 Manton. 77% overall. South Australia shooting at 81%.
You really can't question either team too much in the shooting department. For young sides to be putting up 80 and 81 respectively in a national final, that's tremendous shooting under pressure.
Space there to Hodge, but the wrong option taken.
A poor ball from Hodge. It was the wrong decision and the wrong placement. It was behind the player she chose, and it was the other shooter who had the better offer. So Victoria with the chance to push it out even further from a South Australian error. And how easy was that? Opened up so well for Rossoukas. They take it to 25, so the lead is 8. Just over 6 minutes remaining until half-time. South Australia looking for some of the sparkle they managed yesterday in the semi-final.
Liebelt steps it in, gains the advantage to the post. South Australia, coached there by John Belton. There's Lampshire to the right.
to the left of screen.
Sorry, yeah, yes, wrong side.
Short blonde hair. It's like looking in a mirror, huh? And it's Lampshire that has sustained the ankle injury. So if you see a shot at the end of the match and there's 2 of them on crutches, that's them, Lampshire and Krieg, one of the most unfortunate sides at Nationals this year. 26, Victoria leads South Australia 18. Just over 5 minutes remaining until half-time. Hodge, again, too much on it to connect with Claire, just misjudging the move.
Reprieve, though, however, a clear to set it up. Liebelt comes out. Manton's going to work the space. Well done.
And this time, one of the rare opportunities in the match to date. It opens for South Australia. The space opened. So good patience from the South Australian feeders as we have a look at the leg brace work on Nikki Krieg.
Westbrook out of play against Lynch, and we have mentioned Amy Lynch for Victoria. 188 centimetres. Does have the edge over Westbrook.
And I think it's frustrating Westbrook. She's incurred 8 penalties, and
yes,
it's probably chasing the height and the reach. So she's been a little costly for South Australia. And costly for Victoria has been their goal defence, Tracy Godden, who has 9 penalties against her. Well, they won't worry about that too much while they hold this lead. 27, they lead 19. Under 5 remaining until the break. Lynch pushes it across to Lynch. Amy to Erin. Remember that Amy is at wing attack for Victoria. Erin is the shorter of the 2 and is running at centre, and they are not related as Rossoukas nails another for Victoria.
And you can see the experience that Rossoukas is perhaps demonstrating here today with this Victorian side. She is calm, she is cool. Turnovers there, 14 to South Australia, only 4 to Victoria as Claire attempts a deflection but picked up by Lynch. 10 games this year for Rossoukas for the Kestrels in season 2000. She averaged only 67% shooting average in the National League, but it matters not here today, right under the post of Victoria. She's nailing them at the moment, 86%.
And the lead now 10, the difference 10 as Victoria push it away. Amy Lynch, we've discussed her height, was a member of the Australian 21 and under side that was successful at World Youth Cup this year. So Norma Plummer having charge of her then. And what a delight that team was. Defeated Jamaica in the final. Rossoukas, too experienced at Australian 21 level previously, and a member, of course, of the Melbourne Kestrels this year. As Victoria look for another, they're pushing it for 11, and it will be just that. And there is the woman of the moment. Michelle Rossoukas takes Victoria to 30. 2 minutes 48 out from half-time. Victoria in control of this 21 and under national final. What a ball. Rossoukas threads it through the eye of a needle to Strawn. Meredith Strawn using the base beautifully.
Just the confidence to let that go as well from Rossoukas to Strawn. Strawn putting their hands out, almost stuck. And just a quick glance to my left will show that the Victorian bench has moved. They will be warming up. Probably a precautionary measure from Gillian Lee to make sure all her players still remain involved and focused in the game. Manton. Good switch there across to Claire. Circle open, that left the advantage in front of play into Manton. Well, isn't it ironic? South Australia will go to the half-time break in very similar to position to which they found themselves yesterday. They trailed New South Wales by 10 at half-time.
in the first semi-final. Turn things around in the second half. Do you think it's too much for John Belden to hope it'll happen 2 days in a row?
No, I suppose that's what he is hoping for, and he'll probably draw on yesterday's performance and reinforce, well, you know that you can do it. You have that feeling, the understanding of being that margin down at the half-time break and digging in and performing well as a unit. And that really is what it's all about here for South Australia today.
But they're getting a dose of their own medicine at the moment. Victoria is the team coming up with the intercepts and the turnovers. This to take Victoria to a 12-goal lead, just over a minute remaining until the break.
Rossoukas setting it up well, switches her legs and play.
Michelle Rossoukas invaluable for Victoria in this final. The difference 12 through the hands of Westbrook. South Australia really not looking confident on court. They are going to need to have some kind of magic moment at half-time to turn things around. Even that one lost rhythm. That shot from Liebelt was forced. Amy Lynch will stand out of play for the moment. South Australia with the drive, the post. Manton puts it back. Maybe just shades of trying to dredge something up as both players go to the ground. Seconds remaining. And all for nothing. Victoria maintain their 12-goal advantage. They look for the long ball, hold it up. Godden will help. Support play from the defenders in attack. The baseline there again for Strawn. She very quick on the shot. She's greedy, and that will count. So right on time. Strawn nets one for Victoria, and at half-time, Victoria leads South Australia 33-20.
Victoria really driving it home in that second turn, opening up that margin now, 13 the difference. Match statistics, if we look at the comparisons, penalties, much of the same. Rebounds, South Australia much stronger. They look at the turnovers, however. South Australia turning over far too often to Victoria. Attempts at the post, well, Victoria a lot more. They're shooting an 83% average. South Australia only 27 attempts at 24 that half-time score.
So we go to the break with Victoria in a commanding position, 33-20. And as we mentioned, some of these girls have had a busy year. The Australian 21 and under team, of course, successful at World Youth Cup. Steve caught up with the Australian 21's coach, Norma Plummer, earlier today.
Well, Norma Plummer, congratulations, first of all, on the World Cup victory back in the middle of the year. It must have given you great pride.
Oh, it was fantastic, and the girls certainly deserved the win. They worked very, very hard for it for the year. We put a lot of effort into it, and probably finished up with about 57 matches for the year, and that's a lot of netball.
A career highlight for you, personally?
Well, I guess getting a back-to-back title for a World Youth Cup is fantastic because it keeps Australia at #1, and you know, if you asked me to split the two between 96 and this one, I wouldn't be able to because both teams were fantastic. But it was great for Australia.
And of course you met Jamaica in the final. Some would not have been expecting that. We always think, well, it'll be New Zealand, Australia. That wasn't the case. Jamaica were great opponents. Yeah,
I felt New Zealand hadn't done their homework, Steve, because basically, from my point of view, when I went to the World Championships in October '99 to have a look at what Jamaica were doing in the senior ranks, they had 4 players that could come back into the junior team. And I figured, well, if my pre-tour was going to be on, I was going to Jamaica, which we did. And it was great because you can talk to your players about the physicalness and the type of play, the flair in that Jamaica have, but until you play against it, you really need to test it out. So the players had it firsthand. So when we got to Cardiff, there was no surprises.
And is the fact that Jamaica are strong, that's good for Caribbean netball, I guess?
Oh, it's great because the one thing that happened for Jamaica was the day they came out against us, they'd beaten New Zealand in that semi, and what it meant was they were going home with a medal. Whether it be silver or gold, they were going home with a medal. And it turned out they were so excited because they were going to be the first team of any sport ever to go home with a medal.
And of course you're here this week checking out other talent. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, I've got some players, of course, that leave the Australian Under-21 program and move out, and I'll have 5 players that were residential this year at the AIS that are staying on, and the others are moving out. Some of them have spent 3 years, some are 2 years, and so it's time for another new selection, and this is the build-up now for the Tri-Series in June next year, where we'll be off to Jamaica, play it in Australia and also in New Zealand.
So you're wearing 2 hats. What do you think of the combination of the 2 jobs, 21 and under coach at the AIS as well?
Well, I was very fortunate this year because I had 11 out of the 12 players were fully residential. And I would say this year, by the time we announce the Australian Under-21 squad, all of the players that are in the Australian Under-21 squad, that will make up the 14 players at the AIS. So that's what we wanted, and that's how it's coming. The players are now putting their hand up to come into the AIS to be part of it all.
And we have discussed the format here this week. It's been pushed late by the Olympics, of course. And just gathering thoughts about the format, what are yours?
It's been a bit hard for the selectors, as in watching every game since Monday and the double headers and that, because we've seen so much of the players this year, and we're actually looking at how we might streamline our position in instead of sort of being here all the time watching every game. I think there's a better format because we've looked at it and we really haven't missed any player who we've felt deserves selection at any time because of under-19s, under-17s, and because of our talent ID programs, where we don't think we're letting any slip through. So we could afford to streamline this better.
Norma, thanks for talking to us, and again our congratulations for that big result mid-year in the World Youth Cup.
Thank you very much, and that was one for Australia.
Players on court for the start of the 3rd quarter, just awaiting the official end of the half-time break. And that will be it as Stacey Campton crosses the court with the match ball, offloads to Victoria, who will get us underway. So Victoria get the second half of this 21 and under final underway. They have possession, they have a decent lead, 13-goal lead at the start of this second half. 33 they lead South Australia 20. As Strawn goes to the post in just the same fashion as they did in the first half, confident and accurate. South Australia, Hodge. And there have been some changes to the South Australian lineup. So John Belton, not prepared to sit, has moved Alicia Clare from wing attack. She's been replaced by Adele Cross. So a different player at wing attack for South Australia. And for Victoria too, Tracy Godden at goal defence has left the game. She's been replaced by Robyn O'Brien. We did mention Godden had proven a little costly with respect to penalties. But I think Gillian Lee obviously having confidence that she has the depth in her lineup to be able to expose other players to this match. And why not? Victoria comfortable with a 14-goal lead.
Liebelt down there, but she's back up again. Manton taking the opportunity, but bad pass there from Manton.
And enter Robyn O'Brien.
Yes.
What a way to come into the game. And perhaps that's why she was given her ticket. So Victoria defensively reading the game beautifully, have shut down several options for South Australia. By comparison, South Australia just a little quiet in defence, have sat on the back foot longer than we thought. The only intercept I can recall has come through Hodge, their centre.
Yes, she drove onto the ball, and I think the difference from yesterday's performance is that the open side were creating the atmosphere for this young 21 and under team, and doesn't seem to be that same atmosphere. We can see the open side there on the baseline behind the promotional paraphernalia, and yesterday they were very vocal.
Yeah, well, it's really lifted the roof here at the Silverdome yesterday. As we mentioned, New South Wales with a comfortable lead, and then South Australia, a 7-goal run, turned things around, put themselves back in the game, and then were unstoppable. They could do no wrong. Their open team got behind them. The New South Wales fans were silenced, and it was an exhibition from the young South Australian side that at this stage they're not able to recapture. Manton brings it back by 1, takes South Australia to 23. Strawn. Cross court to O'Brien. Again, nobody looking to come out onto the flat parallel passes.
Good pressure there from Westbrook, really pushing Lynch to the sideline, but still with Victoria.
Lynch in the corner. Her height has been an asset to this young Victorian side. Smith goes down for South Australia, stumbles over a foot and stays down. So the head's well and truly down for South Australia. No spring in the step. And a timeout will be called. Gillian Lee quick to get into her players as Kim Smith just asked that the ankle strapping be looked at. Not a happy face.
Physio there, Anna McVan, attending to Kim Smith.
And the other end of the court, John Belton, the South Australian coach, this time quick to get in and have a word. Not pumped up, just quietly talking to them, I guess reminding them what they've managed in other games.
And Gillian Lee there,
a little more animated,
players, yes.
Arms are waving around, but difference in the expressions. A very relaxed camp, the Victorian unit. Gillian Lee talking to them about body positioning, and I'd say, by the way, those fingers are working, perhaps about movement and rotation, keeping their forward line open and changing. John Belton, by contrast, looks a little worried. Mind you, I took great delight in watching him yesterday against New South Wales. He looked like somebody who was trying very hard to look composed when he wasn't.
That's the team manager there, Pat Miller, our statistician's mother, Todd Miller's mum.
Her claim to fame, Todd Meister's mum. Okay, they're just wiping the floor, making sure there's no perspiration left. Otherwise, with the speed at which these girls operate, we could have a serious injury on our hands. So we're back in courtesy of South Australian possession. Cross, using her speed around the edge of the circle. A stronger build Adele Cross will perhaps add a new dimension to the South Australian forward line.
And somewhat taller than Alicia Clare, also standing at 180 centimetres.
No drive onto the ball from Victoria. Then one of the few occasions Rossoukas sat back, didn't push out into the open space. Strong then though, but can't handle it over the baseline, and South Australia will take the throw in. Kim Smith quick to try and get us underway, but Rossoukas shuts it down. She makes amends for the handling area just seconds ago. Adds another to the total. The difference is 14. Victoria 38 leads South Australia 24. This is the national final in the 21 and under division. South Australia, the defending champions.
Time to wait there from Lee Belton, set up the shot. She does it well. Over O'Brien, who's come into this game in the third term, and Strawn really shut down the two South Australian attackers.
Lynch to Rossoukas. Top of circle to Lynch. Strawn. Well, hard to fault the Victorian shooters. 3 misses against Strawn and just 4 against Rossoukas. They're averaging 85%. South Australia have just slipped off the pace. Manton down to 68% now, so a team average in this match of 76. So that, combined with the lack of possession they've been enjoying, could be a little soul-destroying.
And we just see there the two shooters for South Australia, Manton and Liebelt, not taking the initiative in coming forward, both of them moving on to the goal line, and that is absolute heaven for any defender.
Rossoukas a little late on her move, is called for a contact. South Australia. And there's an intensity to this quarter. You can hear the crowd and the benches trying to lift the involvement. Certainly for South Australia, they need it to happen soon. Interesting, we talked about Godden being a little costly for Victoria before she left the game from goal defence. O'Brien already with 4 penalties against her. Perhaps so, it's needed. You've got to be out there attracting a few penalties if you're in the game, don't you?
I've always agreed with that, yes.
Well, if you're not getting any penalties, you know we're near the shooter, you would tell me. And that was a pretty close-up view of the match ball. I hope our camera person is still smiling, all teeth intact.
Hodge not looking for the drive down court, took the option of Byrne, and perhaps the vision should be what's happening down in the forward end. That was weighted well.
Beautiful ball, but it was a close circle prior to that ball. Neither South Australian shooter prepared to open it, so maybe they've been told sit back and let the ball come to you. Now they open it, but I tell you what, Cross picked the option and the disposal was beautiful. Now they go to the post. And you can just feel there's a little bit happening in the South Australian camp. It's back to 11, and they would like to think it's the start of a run as Victoria tries to maintain their composure and their rhythm. Hodge is out into Lynch on the corner. Amy Lynch hands off to Meredith Strawn, who steadies. Intimidation call against Nikki Smith. There was a little talk from a couple of people that yesterday her performance perhaps back at keeper was a little intimidating. I don't mean that in an emotional sense, but in the movement over the shot that she offers.
Was that comment made by the New South Wales
shooter? No. Actually, no. By a non-netball aficionado. Yeah. Not a heavy at all. No, they said they thought it was just a little bit too much movement over the shot. The defenders are allowed to take a position and hold that over the ball, but not really to offer too much action.
Good attempt there by Westbrook, just to fractionate, and again on that occasion. So work rate at the moment, absolutely explosive by Westbrook in at wing defence for South Australia. Just give it to her, yep, she's there.
Got to say, there is certainly an increase in the workload and the emotion from South Australia. They're trying to make it happen. Rossoukas, though, is going to be a thorn in their side. She is rock solid at the back of that Victorian lineup. Her composure, incredible for one of her few years. 41, Victoria leads South Australia 28. It's all ahead of the defending champions. Halfway through the third quarter.
Just on that previous play, Anne, we see that coming back from Rossoukas into the pocket, Hodge had hands on. The previous play there from Victoria, when the goalie is set up on the perimeter and the defender is behind them, young juniors of the world, and particularly in Australia, you have nowhere to go. Let the ball go. Once that ball was released, then you can create another positional move.
South Australia now with possession from the centre. Cross.
Oh, a good attempt there from Lynch, but she goes offside in the process. And a contact. It's the first call.
So the penalty will be taken outside the circle. First infringement, the contact. Now it's advanced. Liebelt to the post. Can't score. Now they'll take the throw in. Still looked fairly relaxed, the South Australian shooters. They're not really showing the pressure of the chase. But they're running out of time. There's just under 6 minutes remaining until the next break. We're in the third quarter, 21 and under national final, as South Australia chisel away at a pretty decent margin. Victoria in command at this stage, as they have been from the start. They went to the first break as we see an awkward fall from Erin Lynch, but quickly to her feet.
Very well indeed to take that, almost split and come back up.
No injury, no held ball.
No, nothing.
Take my hat off to her. Rossoukas calling the shot. Let's have another look. And that was awkward.
Down. Gets up.
Well, both on the ankle and the groin. Yes. The split was incredible. Looking for the baseline outlet. They swing it into the corner. A little static in the circle, but they find another goal. It's to 30. The difference back to 13.
It's a very even third term to date. That was the half-time margin.
Liebelt has lifted. She's now 16 from 20, so she's come alive in this third quarter. She's lifted her accuracy to 80%. Victoria led 16 to 10 at the first break. At half-time, it was 33 to 20.
Stretch there from Byrne, but matters not to Strawn, who's also shooting rather well for Victoria. She's only missed 3 to date, 16 from 19 attempts at 84%. Rossoukas, their sharpshooter, 88%.
Well, they're finding hard to rattle these Victorian shooters. And South Australia keep coming, but they need to force some change of possession. It needs to be a full court defensive effort with something special from their back line. They need to be hunting it down, but they continue to play the back position behind the attacker. And all that's happening is they're incurring penalties as a result. Westbrook now on 11. Smith has accrued 9.
Yes.
39 penalties now against South Australia. Mind you, it's more against Victoria. They've got 45 against them. But again, it's played from behind and it's retreat, retreat, retreat. South Australia need to get off the body and come onto the ball. And the clock is working against them. 3 minutes 40 until the break. Victoria 44 leads South Australia 31. Here's a turnover. What can they do? Pressure comes from Lynch. Hodge holds her ground. She steadies. They're patient down court.
Pushed it out there to Cross, yes.
Yeah, Cross keeps it alive. Westbrook helping in support through attack. And again, the move too soon there from Leabilt. The timing way out that needed a move behind her to open.
But even the commitment to the ball wasn't there. She stopped. She did have front position, but stopped short of that.
Yeah, she should have cleared. She was in too soon. Now they get a second chance, and that's a clumsy tackle from Skinner, who's a little late on the charge. And Hodge again on the receiving end. Must be feeling a little weary. She's run the centre well. Take
Ball
another look
out,
as Smith pushes it across, and not only was it late, but it was a hand thrust straight through into the face of Hodge. Chance to bring another one back. Okay, we've got a 12-goal difference, so one by one they're coming. This would make it 11. Are we going to see another South Australian comeback? Well, it's slowed for the moment, and maybe that's the difference. Yesterday when they mounted their charge, the luck and the calls went with them. At the moment, every time they get a break, there's an umpiring call or an error that just halts the flow. Or Strawn a little bit too much. Rossoukas was under pressure that time from Kim Smith. Okay, South Australia with another opportunity. Smith will take the throw in. Byrne waves the hands to the team to say, keep it steady. Westbrook can't handle, regathers. Smith goes a slow looping ball through the midcourt. It was there to be eaten. They hold it up again. And as has been the pattern, the transition from the midcourt into the shooting third is not happening for them.
Quite static once they get to the defensive transverse. A few unforced errors, and the shooters are being well held there by O'Brien and Strawn.
And we're just 1 minute 30 out from the break, so South Australia trying to get a fire going, but it's not happening. And what will happen is that the break will take any simmer off that kettle for them. We're nowhere near a boil, but you can sense it starting.
Victoria really opening up as they move out of defence into their attack line. That long pass coming out from the defenders, and also
was very soft from the South Australian defenders then. That opened nicely from Victoria. Erin Lynch offloads, finds Strawn on the baseline. And that is a beautiful shot. And it shows you just how comfortable and confident these Victorian shooters are. They have a 14-goal lead with less than a minute remaining until the break.
It's been a fairly even third quarter, though, when you look at the half-time difference of 13.
South Australia back in the game, but just not able to drag the margin in. They've got it in ones and twos, but the run they found yesterday has not shown its face today. So we're just over 15 minutes of netball away from crowning the 2000 national champion in the 21 and under division. It has the signs of it being Victoria, unless South Australia can pull out something special in the final quarter. Seconds ticking down. South Australia open the arm for the high ball, but it's through the hands and they won't be able to go to the post. So that is three-quarter time. Victoria 46 leads South Australia 33.
And the attempts to post by the South Australians, 43 attempts for 33 goals. So they have a shooting average at the moment of 77%. 40 penalties they've given away overall, and really Westbrook is perhaps the victim there on this occasion at wing defence for South Australia, giving away quite a lot in that position.
So Victoria 46 leads South Australia 33. Victoria, of course, won their place in the final courtesy of a win yesterday against Queensland. Here are some highlights of that semi-final.
Victoria had beaten Queensland by 10 on the first day of the championships last Monday.
The Queenslanders knew a good steady start was crucial to their chances, and they were prepared to work as hard as necessary to stay in it. They traded early goals to be 3-all after 3 minutes. The agile and accurate Rossoukas was to prove a first-half trump card for the Vics. Her fine shooting soon took them to a 7-5 lead. Queensland coughed up vital possession late in the quarter to find themselves trailing 18-11 at the first break. Although unrelated, Amy and Erin Lynch in the Victorian midcourt showed a sister-like understanding, and Rossoukas capitalised on every feed. The lead was soon out to 11. With the Queensland goalers forced to shoot from long range and Victoria grabbing plenty of rebounds, the margin continued to grow, and Rossoukas was in everything. A good save here, her first half shooting an immaculate 20 from 20. Trailing by 13, Queensland came out firing in the third, grabbing 4 quick goals without reply. Kate Miller had come on at goalkeeper to try to quieten Rossoukas, and she had some effect, and by the last break, Queensland had trimmed the margin to 6. And when Vicky Wilson's Chargers bagged the first 3 of the last quarter, an upset looked on. But the comeback seemed to have taken something from Queensland, and Victoria steadied. Rebecca Strawn was getting some good touches at goalkeeper, and her older sister Meredith had taken some of the load from Rossoukas to guarantee the win for Victoria, 56-45.
Michelle Rossoukas, hot shot for Victoria, has led the young Victorians throughout the final of Nationals. She's been in hot form. South Australia managing to run goal for goal with the Victorians in that third quarter, 13 apiece. They need far more than that to retain their crown. And Sarah Hodge gets us underway for South Australia. They have possession with the first centre of the final quarter, 21 and under, national final. Defending champions South Australia in all sorts of trouble against the more highly ranked Victoria. At the end of the rounds, Victoria seeded number 2 behind New South Wales. South Australia coming in 4th position. And Monica, I have to wonder how New South Wales, undefeated until yesterday's semi-final, would feel watching South Australia unable to finish off their work.
Probably a day too early, I think, Anne, don't you? They perhaps are wishing South Australia performed like this yesterday.
Well, perhaps they invested too much in getting to the final. At the moment, Victoria have control, 14 the difference, and it will take a very special effort from this young South Australian side to alter the script as Amy Lynch offloads smartly to Michelle Rossoukas. Lynch has been instrumental in the Victorian forward line, member of the Australian 21 and under successful World Youth Cup side. She has controlled the reins. Erin Lynch at centre, offloads to Strawn. Strawn follows up. She takes the throw-in for Victoria. And between these two teams, since 1990, each of them have won the 21 and under title 4 times. So 4 times apiece. They're well-versed, albeit it's not these particular players, but as a state side, they're well-versed in playing and contesting a final at this level. Up goes Manton. Oh, it drops short.
And once again, I am surprised that perhaps the South Australian Open side aren't yelling and screaming and offering support as they did yesterday to this under-21 outfit.
No, we just had a shot of them then, and they've almost settled into watching a defeat. Mind you, they haven't had a happy week themselves. Finishing, I think, historically in the 7th position, the worst they have enjoyed in the history of the competition. As we take a quick look at their junior shooters, Manton on 74%, Liebelt on 77%, so they have dropped a little across the match. They're enjoying 80s, early 80s throughout, and in fact, Manton averaging 86 coming into this game. 47, Victoria leads South Australia 35. South Australia continuing as they did in the previous quarter, chisel away at the lead. But we need a really big hammer, not a tiny chisel at this stage. Bulldozer material. Here they go, trying to rev it up. South Australia down court smartly. They're down in 2. Now they're forced to back play. Manton out of the circle, hunting for the ball. Oh, look, she wasn't looking. It was offloaded to the back of a ponytail. They come up with it, though, and in the end, it's quite pretty. But it had a few dips and turns along the way. Doesn't do our statistician's heart any good, I'll tell you. He's a proud South Aussie. I'm flanked by them.
Two there, Liebelt and Manton, both going to the same spot, so misunderstanding here in this last quarter. Very tired, 21 and under. South Australian shooters,
they make Victoria pay. O'Brien hits the floorboards. Okay, and we're back to 10. So they've salvaged 3. Can they go on with it? I tell you what, we would see a few of the hinges loosen in this Silver Dome roof if they could run down this 10-goal split. Rossoukas, though, will her composure be tested? No. And look how floppy those wrists are.
Yeah, she has been so cool.
Just another day in the office.
Experience there, Rossoukas, 30 from 37, 81% shooting average. Strawn assisting her throughout the game. This is so important. We mentioned yesterday, I think, during the call in the open game, that it's imperative that both shooters are offering something to the forward line. And Rossoukas and Strawn have been doing that here today.
So the hard work of the first 4 minutes from South Australia undone oh so quickly with a couple of quick plays by Victoria and the continued accuracy from Michelle Rossoukas. And now Shannon Byrne, who's been very quiet in this match, stood out of play and a timeout called. And it is Erin Lynch, the Victorian centre, who has asked for treatment. Rebecca Strawn, younger sister of Meredith. Meredith, the shooter. Rebecca, the stopper of the ball. So Erin Lynch, the Victorian centre, chats with their primary carer, their physio. She's not giving too much away. South Australian bench, Nikki Creek,
yes,
and Lampshire.
Manager
no doubt
Pat Miller.
Wishing they'd be out there. Pat Miller left of screen. And Gillian Lee, I think, keen to see the next 10 minutes run by fairly quickly. She will be very pleased. Of course, very experienced campaigner at this level. Well-versed in success with Victorian junior sides. And Lynch continues play. Erin Lynch appears to be okay. She hasn't really given us too many clues for the stoppage. Just had a quiet word with the physio. South Australia in attack. Too much on it, and it goes straight into the hands of Rebecca Strawn. Victoria, hold it up. Strawn.
Oh, and turn Westbrook, yes.
So they've started to hunt around for some intercepts. South Australia. Hesitation from Manton, who tries to draw the penalty, gets it, puts one through. It's back to 11, the difference. Got to say, 9 minutes 30 time, enough to catch it, but they really have to run it. And just to remind you of Victoria's pathway across the game, they led at the first break 16-10. The lead at half-time was 13. Good second quarter from Victoria. They ran goal for goal in the third period. It was 13-all in that third quarter. Victoria going to the break leading 46-33. And the difference now, with just over 9 minutes remaining in this national final, Victoria 49 lead, South Australia 28.
Attempts to post, South Australia with 50 attempts to post and Victoria with 61. So at the moment, Victoria with 11 more attempts, and the margin indicative of that, 49 plays 38, the margin there 11.
Kim Smith has been kept well off the shot in this match by both umpires.
Yes.
Picked up a couple of times for intimidation, that's quietened her action down, and several times for obstruction.
methinks a round table conference last night between the umpires, and that person that you mentioned earlier must have perhaps...
You're giving too much credit to an idle comment from just a chatty little person. But you're right, maybe somebody has looked at it, and then again, we could be making too much of it, as we often do. But I think you have to say a much quieter performance from Kim Smith, the South Australian goalkeeper, than that she managed yesterday. South Australia, conscious that time is ticking away, trying desperately to haul in the margin. They trail by 12. They trail by 11, and they're on the run. They're halfway through the final quarter. The 21 and under national title at stake. Cross. And you can sense the urgency on court from South Australia.
Good positioning there from Manton. Cuts in front of O'Brien and drops short. They are so necessary, those shots.
Have to agree with you. So often you hear someone say one shot is no more important than the other. Not going there. That was a crucial one. They had a bit of a run happening. That and a centre to follow. Another break, and you're in business. Okay, here comes the turnover courtesy of Smith. Liebelt checks Manton. They're trying to play a one-to-one, the South Australian shooters, but they're rushing.
South Australia not running onto the ball, quite prepared for the ball to do the work, but at this level, defenders for Victoria coming out and really cleaning anything up that's loose.
Well, Victoria has displayed amazing control across the game, but you've got to say there have been some opportunities to string a run of play together for South Australia that they have spoilt time and time again, and they do look a little weary. They invested a lot in their pathway to this final, their match against New South Wales, a real thriller yesterday, and with 6 minutes 25 on the clock, Victoria look like they are heading down the road of a junior title. Last year it was South Australia. This year Victoria. The question is by how much, as Rossoukas takes string and takes Victoria to 52, the lead back to 13. Cross doing her best since she came on at half-time, replacing Alicia Clare at wing attack. Liebelt, cross court, looks for the drive. It's shut down by Strawn.
Must admit, I can honestly perhaps give accolades to the Victorian defenders, both Godden starting off in the starting 7 and Rebecca Strawn have made very hard for the South Australian attackers in Manton and Liebelt to make inroads in the goal circle, and then O'Brien coming on in that second half, and she really has also nailed in the circle.
Well, her first move was an intercept, and I guess you have to envy Gillian Lee, who has had obviously a great deal of depth in the defence department for her side, had the confidence to play 2 goal defenders throughout the game. They were in a lead position when she made the change. It was to expose a new player to the match. Penalty count 12 against O'Brien, 12 against Strawn. But as we mentioned earlier in the call, you're going to have to attract penalties if you're in there contesting. So it's part and parcel of the work ethic. Yet to come across a flawless defender in that department that was worth a salt. Liebelt to the post. That one sticks for South Australia. So less than 5 minutes remaining. The difference is 10. And whilst when it was 9 minutes something, I had to confess it was doable, it's looking less doable as the clock ticks down.
Rossoukas been composed all day.
And once again, there was to be a penalty then, so it would have come back had it not gone through. So South Australian defenders well and truly under the whistle in this match. They enjoyed a wonderful running game yesterday. And today, much quieter. Hodge looks for the impossible. It wasn't open on the baseline to Manton. The option was not a good one, but it has drawn a penalty. And it will be recalled despite its positioning under the post. Now it's through, and of course, all that has the effect of doing is eating up time. And time is not something that South Australia can afford to flirt with. 10 the difference.
Oh, good leap there by Hodge, taken well, backed up. Smith calling for it.
Well, you've got to give them credit. They just keep coming. They have not laid down and died. Contact call goes against Liebelt. It's not what they wanted to hear, and O'Brien calling time is not what they wanted. But O'Brien was stung in that clash.
Loss, I think I saw the umpire indicating that perhaps she lifted up underneath her arm and caused the contact on the forward move. Liebelt now will stand out.
Yes. Liebelt, the offender. Let's try and take another look.
Yeah.
It's in back play, but yes, Liebelt will be put out for that as O'Brien dusts herself off. South Australia, though, has kept coming. I think the greatest margin, probably 16, if memory serves me right. As I look to my right, to my left, have no objections. I stay on 16. And South Australia have chiselled and gotten to 10 and just can't crack the magic number. 3 minutes 28 on the clock. And what can he do? He looks composed. I think he might be resigned to the result. Question mark over the margin.
Pulled out a copy of the replacement and shown it perhaps a three-quarter break, but that was the inspiration for South Australia yesterday against New South Wales.
His options are limited, of course, John Belton. He did probably the only thing he could at half-time to salvage something in attack, and that was bring on Cross for Clare and try a change of body in the forward line. Bit more height, bit more strength. I think that's done a good job. The other options are Panic, who is an option in defence, and Gregory, Rachel Gregory, but he hasn't elected to go there. And as we've mentioned several times, the other two on the bench are both on crutches and no use at all for the time being, although we look forward to seeing them do wonderful things in the near future. So there's a hush across the Launceston Silverdome as the crowd awaits the crowning of Victoria in this 21 and under final. South Australia will just not have time to haul in the margin. They have chased all game.
Time being hurled once again for the ball to come back into play, and we will resume. Oh, Manton and Liebelt, the two attackers in the goal circle, but good pressure there put on by Strawn and O'Brien. Margin now 9:44 plays 53 with just under 2.5 minutes remaining. Last quarter in the 21 and under nationals here in Launceston, as Liebelt takes a heavy fall, but she's okay. Back up again. Been very impressed with Rebecca Skinner for Victoria in at wing defence, and Rossoukas. Almost a faultless performance from her today in this Victorian lineup as she secures Victoria's 54th goal. Margin 10, Skinner coming out for the forward move. Rossoukas happy to just play the clock down. Lynch as well has been steady. Good attempt there from Westbrook. Had it tough on Amy Lynch. Young Tash Westbrook giving away perhaps 10 centimetres, and good reach there from Amy Lynch in the pocket on numerous occasions. Expectations from the two South Australian defenders in Byrne and Smith. Not quite on the mark today, but still a good performance. Wayward one, good backup there from Cross. On great attempt there, Manton set the space, moved to it. 45 plays 55. Into the last minute of this game. Westbrook with the deflection. Skinner sets it up once more. Cross moved forward, but O'Brien the option. Lynch again, balking at Rossoukas. Steadies, and she's had good fluency all day today with that move. 36-44, 82% shooting for Rossoukas. It's under half a minute remaining. Hodge throws one over the goal line, I think, hoping that perhaps one of the forwards there would snaffle it on the line, but Victoria now, through their defenders, go into attack. Lynch can't pull that one in. 45, plays 56, time being held just momentarily to get that ball on this sideline, and the timer is up. Rossoukas with the last shot, no goal, does not stand. So the final score here at the Silverdome, 21 and under nationals, Victoria plays South Australia. Victoria are victorious, 56-45, as we see both teams congratulate each other, thank each other for a well fought out game. Perhaps the expectations very high from the South Australian outfit after coming off their performance against New South Wales yesterday. Victoria have been strong all week. Had a good run yesterday against Queensland, but they are the victors in this national competition. And we'll look into the statistics overall for this game, and Victoria doing very well as far as the scoreline, but penalties, 71 penalties to Victoria, and a lot of those in the defensive area. Rebound, South Australia taking that statistic. Turnover, South Australia losing far too many, turning over 10 more. The attempts to post, Victoria was 69 attempts, South Australia 59, and at the end that was almost the margin. Percentage of scoring shots, 81% to Victoria, South Australia 76, overall scoreline 56 to Victoria, 45 South Australia. And we still see the congregation happy. Gillian Lee, successful Victorian coach, and here we have Anne Sargent courtside.
Thanks, Mum. With me is Michelle Rossoukas, hot shot for the Victorian side. Congratulations on the victory, but on a personal note, a fantastic performance from you. You must be delighted.
Yeah, it was actually good to get those goals in, and with the help of all the other girls around us, you know, it just wouldn't be possible for me to get a win like that.
South Australia tried and tried to bridge the gap and come back into the game. They did run with you in one quarter, but you always look to have the composure and the control. What was being said to you by Gillian Lee?
Just to keep it up short and sharp. It's our game from the start, you know, take each quarter by one, and just as great to beat SA, just unbelievable.
In attack, it always looked complete. In defence, was the introduction of the player at half-time just to show the depth in the squad, not for problems?
No, just depth, exactly right, yeah, and Robyn did exactly that in goal defence, yep.
We've talked a bit in commentary about how much you've got to invest across the week of the championships, and in particular in the semi-final. The rounds really mean nothing when you get to that semi-final. You had a fairly comfortable road. South Australia, by comparison, had to go for the upset. Do you think that took a lot out of them?
Well, I don't know, but the semis were, you know, against Queensland, they were still a tough side as well, and we just kept pushing and pushing, and this is just great, unbelievable. I can't believe it, SA, yes.
Well, I'm glad you're sort of smiling, because I've been a bit concerned about how cool you were through the game. I was waiting for a bit of an emotion, but even though you had a comfortable victory, I did notice there was an explosion in the huddle right at the end.
No, I don't know what's wrong with those girls. I should be bloody well excited, so it's just great. I'm just happy, yeah.
Why so great about South Australia? What's the edge?
Well, the Vics have always come runners up in the teams that I've always been, and just to get them back by that much is just unbelievable.
Well, we're pretty impressed with how you performed. It shows well for the future of Australian netball. Congratulations on your own game, in particular the result for Victoria, a wonderful result. Well done, enjoy it.
Thank you, Anne, thanks.
Yes, and the Victorians do have the chance to make it 2 wins out of 2 finals today. They'll take on New South Wales in the open final later today. But for the Victorians in the 21 and unders, this is the first time in 4 years that they've won the title, and they'll be very pleased to get their state name on that trophy once again. Well, it's a great summer coming up on ABC Sport, not least of all because of the Hopman Cup. And Paul McNamee has assembled a fantastic field, including Russian world #1 and US Open champion Marat Safin. Mark Philippoussis will be there for Australia, along with Nicole Pratt, and Mark Philippoussis in great form. It'll be tremendous to welcome back Martina Hingis as well. She'll be playing for Switzerland. Monica Seles for the USA. Just a few of the big names there from the 31st of December, so I hope you can join us for the Hopman Cup. And of course, later today, in about 90 minutes from now, the open final from the Netball Nationals here at the Silverdome in Launceston. New South Wales, the defending champions, taking on Victoria. There was only 5 in it when they met last Monday in the rounds. Should be a great match, and as always a great rivalry between those states in any sport. But right now, though, we're off to Adelaide for the first of our basketball games. It's the top-of-the-table clash between the 36ers and the Townsville Crocodiles. Clinton Gribus will be your host. A great match coming up. We hope to see you back here later this afternoon. Bye for now.
Yes, thanks, Steve. Once again, that's the cause of that turnover on that occasion. No one coming to the ball. Burton did well on that occasion coming forward.
11 turnovers to the Kestrels, 18 to the Sandpipers. As that one rolls at the rim. Oh, beautiful work there from Gerard. Balance.
And fantastic elevation to take that ball.
Gerard finds cramp seat. McCaffrey